Welcome back to their daily highlight here on YouTube. We're playing a location lockout control, looking to leverage Storm to create a flooded location, as well as Professor X to completely lock something down. This deck is looking to put big stat lines into play in these locations that we're locking out, whether it's Jessica Jones following up a copy of Storm or a copy of Attuma that we play out before we Professor X into its path, making sure that it can't be blown up. This deck has a couple of other ways to leverage Attuma as well. We can zero out its downside or play armor out proactively and then put Attuma in behind it so it's no longer at risk of being destroyed. Because this deck is playing Professor X and armor already, we add in Cosmo as an additional interactive card, as well as a means of enabling the Destroyer, which is just a massive stat stick that we can close games out with in our second path. This deck is also leveraging Marvel Snap's latest release in Jeff as an additional way to let us sneak power into locations that we've locked out, Jeff being the only card in the game that can currently get into or out of a Professor X lane. And rounding out our deck list here is a copy of the Claw, who I think is really excellent at stealing games that your opponent just doesn't expect. +6 into a lane that looks completely locked up is a lot of stats, even outside of something like Dr. Doom that your opponents are frequently going to use to try and get into your flooding path, and it is a great high cube equity card that your opponents just often won't be expecting. At any rate, I hope you enjoy the game highlights today. For today, I think they do an excellent job of showcasing the lockout potential and power that this deck has. If you do enjoy what you see, snap that like button. Be sure to check back in again tomorrow for another highlight here on YouTube. All right, and then you're snapping me. We do this. Oh, they just thought I couldn't win Hellfire Club and they were going to win the Breaker. Get out of here. Victory. I don't want to play Titania because we have priority, so they could end up taking her from us, so they could rather just not play her. At the risk of getting leeched more frequently on the ladder, my money would be on Leech is probably better than people are giving it credit for post-nerf still. I think it's going to take people a little bit of time to figure that out and come back around to it. I feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot a little bit by saying it out loud. But my money is probably on Leech is better than people think it is post-change. My God, why would you say that? People always just like write off the thing that got nerfed. They're just like, no, I'm done with it. Yeah, there's a ton of situations where Leech is basically the same as it was before.
Wind, aid my hand.
Fun mirror dimension interaction here. This is the last turn we can play to this flooding on the right. Next turn is the last turn we can play to this flooding in the middle. I believe this is a feature, but it's definitely how it works. And we can go ahead and go 0 into Attuma here. We have Claw Titania next turn. How do they ever win if I do this? Is there anything that beats me? I have priority. Yeah, I assume they're gonna retreat here. They were hoping, well, they were guaranteed to grab 0. That's clever. Clever. Their own Jeff could have gotten us. Yeah, that's a good call. Their own Jeff could have gotten us. Yeah, maybe I'm supposed to play the Tatani here for stats. Close game. Playing these here, and then we'll storm next turn.
Wind, aid my hand.
So Jeff splashes into the flooding here. Then I might Professor X to right. We'll see how many stats they put into play here. What if I go Jones here? And then next turn, I can claw into here and slide Jeff over to the right. This puts me up to 19 total here. How do you claw middle? I'm clawing into the middle, chat. I'm putting 6 power into here. So I can move Jeff and add extra power here. Right, when I said claw middle, I meant putting the 6 from claw into middle. Yeah, they just weren't expecting us to be able to move Jeff and still win here. So we get to get him with that. How do you feel about the new leader? I think we don't really know what the power level of the new leader is or not yet, but I do like the fact that they decided to revisit a card that they very clearly over-nerfed with the goal of making it playable. I think trying to make most cards be playable is a good goal. Is the weekly buff train starting tomorrow? No, there are no buffs on the weeks that we have, there are no buffs on the weeks that we have patches. So the first weekly buff starts next week on Thursday. Okay, so here's a question. Do I think I need 16 to win Onslaught Citadel? I think 13 is probably enough. I'm gonna play the 0 here. I think weekly balance passes are exactly what Marvel Snap has needed from their team, because the Snap team has consistently made good changes for the most part. Like, I think in the course of almost a year, I can count on one hand the number of truly head-scratching changes the Marvel Snap team has made, in my opinion. So I am excited to see them make changes more frequently, because it feels like the frequency and number of changes is their biggest issue. You can play a big thing here and get us. Yes, weekly balance will also help stimulate the economy a little bit and players' interest, because they don't release a ton of new cards right away, but if they're buffing underplayed, unplayable cards, they're going to basically have more than one release per week, which is nice. The OTA balance patches only affect stats, right? No abilities. They only affect numbers on the cards. Oh, I forgot to, sorry. I thought we were waiting on my opponent, but their snap just ate my end turn button. I'm beating Magneto here. No, we're losing to Magneto on the tiebreaker. It's unfortunate. Oh my god, they got our copy of Destroyer. Wait. Breaker, breaker, give me the news. I got 3 points over you. They must have forgotten that their Doombot was gonna die.
Wind, aid my hand.
Is it too early to call for Sandman nerfs? Nah, Sandman sucks shit to play against before this most recent set of balance changes, and it just sucks slightly more shit to play against with the balance changes now, so. Sandman nerfs have nothing to do with power level and have everything to do with this card is miserable and should never be the most popular deck in the game. Well, Marvel Snap is a worse game when that style of deck is at the top. Where do I post deck codes for viewing? Every YouTube video has a deck link in the video description. So Professor X here, I could still play Jeff plus other cards into Morag next turn, which is fun here. It's always a witch hunt immediately for the next deck. See, I really find it frustrating when people say stuff like that when I articulate my feeling about Sandman, because I've basically had the exact same fucking opinion about Sandman for like literally months now. I've been saying there's clips of me saying the format is miserable and Marvel Snap sucks to play if Sandman is the best deck that probably date back to before the game even hit global launch. Like, Prison Effects should never be the best deck in a card game. Ever. Should never be the most popular. And they know we have Jeff, chat. They know we have the Jeff. Gets a splash on in here to the Flooded. Lets the Attuma into the Morag. Got him. That's all. Snap the like button if you'd be so kind, and check back tomorrow for another deck highlight.